I'm Crispin Cruz with Sales Arbiter. I'm the founder and CEO of that company. And we've been in business now since pre-COVID. That's been great for us. And we continue to work with clients to help them grow their businesses. The Pipe podcast itself is focused on 4 elements, right? So sales process, sales initiative, sales prospecting, and sales experiences, right? So that's what we talk about with our guests. And that's really the focus. Is we're very, from a consultancy standpoint, we're very siloed. We're in that silo of sales, helping companies grow and putting in foundational process to help them do that. Now that might be resources, management, sales individuals or employees. It may be an initiative that they want to drive, but that's where we kind of live and work every single day, is just focusing on our clients' growth. Now more than ever, I think that if you're looking to grow an organization or company, you need to have some form of digital media out there. And so when we were first starting to do this, we kind of put together a couple mics. We had just a camera. Like, we were just doing this kind of, just off the cuff. It was hard. It was really hard, because the reason being is it's hard to not only produce and manage the show at the same time that you're trying to make it interesting and bring on guests and talk with them about their interests and how that fits into the whole, sales world. We realized quickly that this is, if you're going to run a good business, there are certain things that need to happen. You need to know your role in the organization. Where do you think that you can have the biggest impact? Right? And where we thought we could have the biggest impact is really being in the moment with those guests. Like, that's really important, and not having to worry about everything that's happening behind the curtain. And we figured that out pretty quickly, because it's a hard road when you're trying to do all of that on your own. But here's where Cast Ahead just is amazing at making sure that that show gets produced the right way. When something is going so well, and when these podcasts are being managed and produced at a high level, then you have the opportunity as the host to focus on what's really important, which is the guest, and focus on what their message is, what's their story. Right? And that's what Chris and Cast Ahead, that's the benefit that he gives us, at Sales Arbiter. And me as a podcaster, is he's able to do all of these other things behind the curtain that where to allow us to have an incredible production, right? And one that gives us the opportunity then to focus on what's important to the guest, and hopefully what's important to our audience as well. I have to say, some of the benefits that we've gotten out of utilizing Cast Ahead and utilizing Chris to produce our podcast, it's given us, not only the podcast gives us visibility for the organization and the company, but it's something that we're able to put out, and where people see value in that, and they get, and I think they get a lot of sales knowledge out of that. And that helps to not only I feel like we're giving something back to the sales community. Right? And I think that's a big piece of it. The second piece that I really love about working with Cast Ahead is, at the very beginning, I was asking, Chris, about, can we take, a full episode, and can we cut it into smaller bite-sized pieces? And how can we utilize that content for other social media outlets, right? And kind of put our heads together. I started calling them Snippets, because I didn't know what else to call them. They were just, that made sense to me. It's a snippet. It's a small piece of, the larger podcast that we can use for, LinkedIn, for Twitter, for all of these other, social media platforms out there. And we can start utilizing those snippets, in a way that where maybe somebody that sees that quick 1 minute or 45 seconds or 1.5 minutes of content, that it brings some value to them. And that kind of showcases the show as well. And so Chris started doing this for us. And then we also, which is a benefit to our guests, we started providing those to the guests, right? So then they can also use that content in any way that they want. So I say that because I think one of the things that Cast Ahead does is, listen, Podcasting it's not all the same. It's not. And his company brings a significant amount of value to those that he serves, right? His company brings a significant amount of value to those individuals that are looking for a different creative way to produce and distribute a podcast. The time that you have to invest to do all these things on your own, it is significant. And that can take away from the things that you really need to be focusing on for your business. See, I own every one of these gray hairs, right? And so time is my most valuable asset, right? And it should be for anyone that's also thinking about what marketing, what podcast should I be doing? How should I be investing that time in my business? Because that it has to be and continues to be my most valuable asset. And I would think that those that are thinking about, starting a podcast, whether I should be doing that on my own, should I be looking for a new producer to help me with that? I've got to believe, you should be looking at Cast Ahead.